Well, for those who have been following me for a while, this will probably come as a surprise. I have left Google. Now, you're probably wondering why I left and maybe what I left Google for. And so today I'm going to give you a little hint of that. I'm also going to have a very, very special guest in the second part of this video. She and I have some news for you. We want to share that with you. And yes, this is someone you know very well. She's been on the program a few times, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about what you should be paying attention to moving forward beyond just me leaving Google. But before we get started, if you're new to this channel, you can join the community by subscribing to the newsletter on Substack. It's down here. It's super easy. I promise I won't spam you either. You should, of course, subscribe, follow LinkedIn, YouTube. But if you want to get free gifts and the opportunity to join us on this carcast, on the next carcast season, you're definitely going to want to subscribe to the newsletter. All right. Well, for those that have been following me for a while, you might remember a video that I published, so something like 12 years ago when I left Microsoft. I'm going to link it here as well. We had a ton of fun producing that video. It was a lot funny as well. This was back in the days when I was coming back to Silicon Valley to help launch a few startups. And we're now 12 years later, 3 startups later, the turnaround story at Oracle, and an incredible, amazing experience at Google. And now we're here doing another announce. Now, at Google, I had the opportunity to participate in Google Cloud's stratospheric growth in 3 years. If you've been following us, we became a top 5 enterprise software company, adopted by 60% of the world's largest organizations, practically starting from scratch. We built a network of over 100,000 partners. We scaled amazing services like BigQuery. We launched new products like Dataplex and Analytics Hub. We brought Looker into our main offering, and you, the community, you got the opportunity to give us more feedback, connect with the product team more often as we scaled the data analytics customer council, invented new ways like the data summit to connect with the community, and also data journeys where our customers could talk to me, they could talk to you, unscripted about their deployment lessons. And then, of course, we shipped the design pattern factory so you could deploy our services, our partner services with confidence, not based on how our product team was organized, but really in alignment with the jobs to be done you were trying to deploy. Also, as part of my Google journey, I had the opportunity to first be an advisor, but then join as a senior partner at Capital G. Capital G is Alphabet's independent fund with investments in some of the most iconic companies in tech, Stripe, UiPath, Databricks, many, many more. And there I really got the experience to see the other side of investing, because I think during my startups, I was involved at least in 10 funding rounds, but this time I got the opportunity to learn what the process feels like from the investor's perspective and help CEOs scale their people and their businesses. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about that. There's a million things that I could share with you about what I've learned at Google, but there is one tool that I want to make sure I share with you because Google really helped me refine that. I think it'd be really helpful. I'm going to give you access to this one tool so you can also create yours. And so what is this one tool? Is this thing called the user guide. You know, a car as a user guide, and you probably should have one too. And the principle behind this is that great leadership starts with great self-awareness. How do you think about self-awareness? Well, it's the ability to understand yourself, your personality, your values, your beliefs, and kind of verbalize this. I didn't invent this idea, by the way. Ken Blanchard published a book about this over 10 years ago. But for decades, I think leaders have struggled with this, primarily because there hasn't been a simple, standardized way to decode yourself for the rest of the world. And so the consequence has been that when you join a new team, it takes you time, it takes them time to know each other. And there's a lot of guessing. People wonder how they will react to certain activities. Sometimes things as basic as what is the best way to communicate. We use phone, email, chat, to more philosophical ones like what should be our leadership principles and how do we want to operate as a team? Things like that. When I was at AtScale, one of my employees, and she knows who she is, she said to me, Bruno, your name should be a verb. There was apparently a distinct way that I was going about my business, and she saw it and I didn't. And she used to tease me and the team sometimes by saying, hey, you know what, we should Bruno this. And so that really stayed with me. When I was at Oracle, I started thinking about ways that I could decode that. And then when I joined Google, the answer came together when I read Orr's user guide. If you don't know Orr's, by the way, you probably should Google him. He is Google's 8th employee. He was the company's first VP of engineering. He's credited for much of Google's development culture. And he had a user guide that provided a great framework for me. As a product guy, I could totally see the logic in it. Their user guide for things like cars and washing machines, and there should be user guides for humans as well. So over my years at Google, I started writing my own user guide. I asked feedback from my team, my peers, my boss. I also had the opportunity to have a coach that could kind of help me collaborate and get input and really get a sense of what is it that made me operate a certain way. I learned a lot about emotions as well, and it was a very humbling exercise. So this document, which is about 14 pages, is now available online for you. I'll put the link down here. Of course, it's for subscribers to the newsletter. And in fact, I'm going to do more than that. I'm going to break it down for you here a little bit right now, and then I'm pointing you to another resource so we can talk more about it. The most important thing about the user guide is to acknowledge that this is work in progress. And the point of the document is not to dictate, but it's to indicate that you want this feedback. In mine, for instance, you'll see when you read it, I say, I'm a work in progress, and you should ask my wife if you want more details about that. The second component is the TLDR. So your team might not have the time to read the entire guide. They'll use it as a reference. So you want to tell them what they should take away if it's too long and they didn't read it. In fact, that's what TLDR means. In mine, I have 3 bullets. I believe in simplicity. I believe in bi-directional coaching. I believe in transparency and follow through. And my value is we say what we do and we do what we say. And so at least when you read the first page, you get a sense. The rest of the paper goes through what I've learned over the last 25 years as a professional leader across small, medium, and large companies of all types of products, nascent, mature, and revamped product lines. There's actually, I find, some principles and some rules that each of these company sizes and company environments have in common. And it's learning around collaboration and decisiveness and follow-up, follow-through, accountability, creating systems rather than relying on hacks, and what true product mindset is. By the way, if you're interviewing with me for a job, this is probably a great resource as well to read, because you'll get a sense of a little bit of my personality and the tools that I use. So I use the ORP map for alignment, the Eisenhower quadrant for prioritization, and you'll see also in the section of the user guide many more details about my personality. I had the opportunity at Microsoft take a test in personality, and so I Google. So I'm sharing very transparently the results of those tests. Putting a link down here for you so you can get advantage of that. In fact, we're going to do a deep dive on this. I will be doing a podcast with Stephanie Wong, who many of you know, on her podcast. So if you subscribe to the newsletter, you should be the first one to know when we publish that. And speaking of Stephanie, I promised that I had news for you. And so Stephanie is going to be my new monthly carcast host. We will be joining forces once a month to give you a roundup of everything data, AI, and analytics, and everything in tech. So Steph, welcome to the carcast. I know this is your 3rd appearance, I think, but this is more than an appearance moving forward, because we're doing this monthly carcast together. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit more about what the formula of this roundup is?
Yeah, this is exciting. I think now being my 3rd, now I'm upgraded from guest to host. I think this is a
Yes,
promotion, Bruno. Thank you.
of course, anytime. You
So,
deserve it.
well, I'm really excited to join forces here. We are coming at you with a stack of great content. We are going to be picking a few topics every month to discuss in the world of tech, data, and AI. So we're thinking research, new books, new success stories, and it's really about bringing the community to be a part of it too. As you know, Bruno and I our superpower is really breaking down tech in a way that's fun and engaging and not really about maintaining pride and ego and giving you information down your throats. It's really about bringing the community a part of it. So we're excited to do that. And again, just as a key message, this is our opinion. This isn't going to be a reflection of our employers or for our employers. This is something where we really just want to build a community. And our goal is to share with you what we see in the space and surface some of the work that our networks are building. So if you have any great stories to tell about leadership, tech, what you're seeing in AI, you should ping either of us on LinkedIn and send us your ideas. No marketing though, please. This is about your work, your insights, your research, any questions that are helpful for the rest of the community as we all learn together as tech professionals. And we'll also be running maybe some contests where you can win a book or an invite to come on to this CarCast and have a chat with us. So we're really looking forward to all of that.
Our opinion only. It's Steph and I sharing what we've seen in the industry. We want you to participate, but please don't pitch us. This is not the opportunity to give us some marketing content. And then we'll have some surprises for you. But once a month, you'll get the opportunity to hear what we see in the community, and we'll use that as a channel to surface your work. So, Steph, what should people do next?
Well, the first thing that you all need to do is to subscribe to this YouTube channel and then subscribe to the newsletter that you'll see a link here. And then you can also add comments on LinkedIn or DM us directly for suggestions and input for this series.
And of course, Steph and I will do a deep dive into this user guide we were talking about earlier. This time she'll be interviewing me. So I can't wait to see how we answer your questions. In the meantime, subscribe to the newsletter. Go check out the user guide. Prepare your questions, and like Steph said, reach out to us if you have any questions. Steph, is there anything else that we should be adding? Are we good to go?
Yeah, just keep a lookout for the podcast on the user guide. My podcast is called Silicon Social. We'll include that in the newsletter as well. Otherwise, we're super excited, and we'll see you all in our next episode of this.
That sounds good. Oh, and if you're curious to know what I'm doing next, you should follow our friend Sanjeev Mohan. He and I will be talking about that very shortly. His podcast is called It Depends, so you can just Google that on YouTube because that news is going to hit very, very soon.
Well, that's it, folks. After almost 7 years being here, I've decided to go out and do something else. And, when I look at this bar, and there's a lot of experiences, it certainly reminds me of a lot of the great people that I've worked with. Hey, Paul, thank you very much. That's been fun. I love this guy. There's certainly a lot of great lessons for me. I look at this first product I worked on,